Hello again, friends. On this episode, we will be watching the recap of the movie Bright, and remember there are spoiler alerts. So if you are ready, let's go. Today, I'm going to explain an action fantasy and sci-fi film called Bright. Spoilers ahead. In Los Angeles, where humans coexist with orcs, elves, and other magical creatures, the social hierarchy puts orcs at the bottom class, humans in the middle, and elves at the top. One day, Officer Daryl Ward waits for his work partner Nick Jacoby to get food in a busy street, when suddenly an orc appears and shoots Ward. Sometime later, Ward recovers and awakens at home to his wife Sherry, who asks Ward to get rid of a fairy on the bird feeder. Sherry also watches an interview where an orc denounces Jacoby because he's not part of any blooded clan and has joined the police force. When Sherry disapproves of Jacoby, Ward notes that he doesn't like the orc as his partner either, but he's accepted it to avoid messing up since he's retiring in 5 years. Still, Sherry worries because Ward got shot because Jacoby didn't watch his back. Ward then goes outside and chases the fairy off with a broom, but his neighbor and his friends goat Ward, leading him to whack the fairy to death. Back inside, Ward's daughter, Sophia, echoes Sherry's prejudice against orcs, especially Jacoby, but Ward explains that everyone is just different. Jacoby arrives to pick up Ward for his first day back at work, but Ward complains about him stopping by. Sophia runs outside and mentions that they're heading to her grandma's house, so Jacoby offers them a ride. Despite Ward's protests after dropping off Sophia, Ward scolds Jacoby for not doing anything when he got shot. When Jacoby offers an apology, or decides to let it go, Jacoby jokes around with Ward to get him in a better mood, but Ward only rides along, masking his annoyance at the station. Ward is taunted by the others, mainly by Pollard, who hates Jacoby and orcs in general, for siding with the Dark Lord during the war 2,000 years ago, because the orc that shot Ward got away. Pollard thinks Jacoby let him go since the orcs' client law dictates that orcs have each other's backs. Ward doesn't defend Jacoby, but also doesn't condone their prejudice. Ward is welcomed back into the force, and after receiving their assignments, he tries to get himself reassigned to a new partner, but the sergeant declines. As the two patrol the streets, Ward reminds Jacoby to prioritize his job as a cop before any or clan laws, witnessing other cops violently apprehend civilians in the streets. Jacoby assures Ward that his loyalties are in his badge. They then respond to a scene where a man named Sterling brandishes a sword at an intersection. Another officer, Rodriguez, is already there, and he and Ward share a casual conversation about their families. Sterling speaks about a Dark One returning to reclaim Earth, but Ward orders him to drop the sword or they'll shoot. The man complies, and Jacoby takes him into custody. Inside the car, the man suddenly speaks Orcish to Jacoby about a message from the Shield of Light, a militant group preparing against the Dark Lord's return. Sterling tells him that Jacoby has chosen and that the man he's with is blessed. The surprise is Jacoby, but he dismisses it as nonsense. Later, Internal Affairs agents approach Ward, wanting his help to get Jacoby fired. They point out that, according to Jacoby, he chased the orc who shot Ward, but the suspect jumped into a nearby fire escape. However, during the investigation they found that the fire escape was 13 feet off the ground, making a statement impossible. Ward tries to defend his partner, but his superiors are convinced that orcs hold clan law above all else since Jacob's employment in the police. Sources in the public eye, they can't fire him without cause. Instead, they want Ward to trick Jacoby into a confession and record it. When Ward declines, they threaten his job, so he reluctantly agrees. During their patrol, Ward spends a story about his daughter coming clean to a mistake, hoping it would get Jacoby to confess. However, this just makes Jacoby suspicious. Instead, the conversation is cut when they get called into a case. Meanwhile, Magic Task Force agents can Demur and his human partner, Montague, interrogate Sterling about the Shield of Light. They ask about the Inferni, who Sterling claims are renegade elves working to bring the Dark Lord back. Using 3 magic wands, Sterling identifies Layla, the Inferni coven leader, as a bright, someone who can wield a wand and use its magic. Brights are usually elves, but in rare instances humans can be a bright too. Montague then explains that Layla has a wand, and to get her they must first find Tika, another elf who Layla is pursuing. At the same time, Ward and Jacoby head to a house on Abram Street where they get immediately shot at. They return fire, and when the scene's clear, they enter the house and discover weapons and dead bodies, some freshly burned, and are still glowing embers. At the center of it is a female elf, fused to a wall that's pulsating magic, a clear indication of Bright activity. As Ward calls for backup, they see Tika escaping, so Jacoby tackles her before she gets handcuffed. However, Tika blows up a car with magic and threatens to shoot, so Tika lets go of a glowing wand. Tika then talks to them in Elvish, asking them to protect her, and the wand wards speak Elvish, but luckily Jacoby understands that someone's coming for her. Later, Ward explains the incident to the other officers, but the others are just interested in exploiting the wand's magic. With gloves on, Pollard takes the wand and puts it in Jacob's bag, plotting to get rid of Jacoby to cover up their theft. Ward refuses to participate, so they threaten to kill him. Too soon, Ward heads out and tries to get Jacoby to admit that he let a shooter go, hoping to have a reason to betray him. The two get into an argument, and when Ward pulls a gun on him, Jacoby admits to letting the suspect go inside. Pollard and the rest decide to kill both Jacoby, Ward and the elf to remove all witnesses. Meanwhile, Jacoby explains that he let the orc go, not because of clan politics. Instead, he lost the shooter in the crowd and ended up cornering a teenage orc. When he realized his mistake, he helped the teen evade the police, who wouldn't think twice about dropping him on the spot. Just then, the other officers come out and Ward makes a decision. He swiftly turns and decisively shoots the others. Only Pollard survives and begs Ward to spare him. A confused Jacoby pulls a gun on Ward, but he's unable to shoot his partner. Instead, he radios the station to report the altercation, leaving out that Ward shot the officers. As Ward explains the situation to Jacoby, the Altamira gang with their leader, Poison, approaches and shows interest in the wand. Ward tells them to leave, but Poison insists, so they retreat to the car and the gang attacks. Jacoby shakes off gangsters climbing up around them, and when they drive away, a high-speed car chase ensues. The gang shoots at them and rams their car sideways. Ward returns fire, but runs out of ammo, so he fires a taser at the driver, causing their pursuers to crash. They enjoy a brief moment of peace until Tika gets hysterical in the back seat, telling Jacoby to turn back. The wand then flies out of the bag and floats between the two cops, glowing brighter. Suddenly, they crash into an invisible force, rendering the car useless, so they leave it behind at the Abrams house. Lyrica, the elf is fused on the wall, is revived by Layla for information. After learning that Tika escaped with her wand, Layla slit Lyrica's throat. She also finishes off Pollard on her way out, and upon spotting the neighbors watching from across the street, they force the family into revealing that Tika left with an orc and a human elsewhere. Jacoby explains to Ward that ones have binding spells that keep them from getting far from their bright owners, hence the force that stopped their car. Jacoby suggests letting the feds deal with it, but Ward points out that he just killed their fellow officers who wanted to take advantage of the wand. Instead, they agreed to find Rodriguez, as he's the only one Ward trusts just then. Altamira gangsters behind them, and Jacoby drops the wand. In the chaos, a gangster quickly takes it, but when he does, he and the men with him are instantly pulverized. Witnessing its power, Jacoby carefully retrieves the wand before they escape. The three end up at a party of an orc group called the Fogteeth Gangsters, where they're met with disdainful glares. They walk through the crowd and get tangled up in a mosh pit until more Altamira gangsters arrive. Ward and Jacoby fight them off until they get back outside. Meanwhile, Candemir and his team finally arrive at the Abrams house after observing Lorica's corpse. Candemir explains to Montague that Lyrica was an infernee sent by Layla to Keeltika. Batika escaped with the wand. Candemir has been tracking Layla for years, but now she's vulnerable without her wand. Later, Ward and Jacoby discard their uniforms to blend in. Afterward, the two together with Tika walk into a nightclub but are cornered by Poison and the rest of the Altamira gang. The gang destroys the place with automatic rifles, forcing everyone to hide while Ward strategizes. Poison tries to bargain with them, noting how everyone else wants to kill them. But he will let them go home if they surrender the wand out of options, or it considers his offer, but Jacoby firmly refuses as they argue. Tika gets hysterical, warning Jacoby that the devil is coming. Ward and Jacoby resolve to fight the gang head-on, but Layla and the other Inferni Tien and Seraphine arrive and carve their way through the gangsters. During the massacre, Ward, Jacoby, and Tika rush outside and narrowly escape Layla's clutches. When the LAPD blocks her path, the Inferni also decimates the officers as the trio escape. Soon they find refuge in a gasoline station, and while Ward cleans a gunshot wound, Jacoby expresses his worries about losing his position as a cop. He recounts that orcs chose the wrong side thousands of years ago and have been paying for it since. He then opens up about being seen by orcs as a wannabe human, while humans only see him as an animal. Ward counters. After, Kobe should have told him about the orc kid he helped, but he points out that Ward doesn't trust him either. Jacoby admits that he wants to be like Ward, as his act of bravery earlier is exactly what orcs got blooded for. In turn, Ward admits that he used to be good like Jacoby, but now he's only pretending. When Rodriguez arrives, he initially tries to apprehend Ward for killing the officers, so they're forced to announce that they've been protecting the wand. Rodriguez sees it and immediately calls the magic task force. Ward gets to talk to Candemir, negotiating to keep his records clean in exchange for the wand. Candemir assures him that since he acted to protect the wand from corrupt individuals, there would be no charges. As Montague and his team are tracking their location, the Inferni are doing the same. When Seraphin locates them first, Tien disconnects the call. So both parties rush to get to the wand at the gas station. Rodriguez suggests handcuffing Jacoby, since he'd likely get blamed for the dead cops. But Jacoby relents, as they can possibly run all night. However, as Rodriguez handcuffs them, he is shot and killed by the Inferni, so Seraphin crashes the car into the store. He pins Jacoby against the chillers while Ward fights off Tien and Layla to assist in the gunfight. Seraphin backs up the car and shoots an escaping Jacoby. The Inferni then Ward finally shoots at the butane canisters, causing an explosion that allows them to escape. During the escape, however, the three are cornered by Fog-Teeth gangsters who take them to their leader, Doku Dorku, scolds them for bringing guns and disorder for their party earlier after insulting Jacoby for being unloaded. Dorku pretends to accept him in exchange for the wand. When both cops refuse to talk, Dorku gets them beaten up. Jacoby is asked again, but he refuses. Sudoku stabs him while Ward gets strangled with a metal chain. When the gang finds their bag empty, Dorku orders his son Mikey to shoot Jacoby. The boy hesitates, however, revealing that he's the team Jacoby helped escape. Understanding that he can't kill the orc who saved him, Dorku shoots Jacoby instead. Ward can only watch as Jacob's body falls into a seemingly endless pit. Devastated with Jacob's demise, Tika takes out the wand and chants an elvish spell, pulling Jacoby back and bringing him back to life. This miracle stunts the orcs, making them kneel before Jacoby as they regard them as a chosen one from a prophecy. While the orcs kneel, Ward carries Tika and Kobe to escape. Once they're outside, Tika starts speaking English. Since she now trusts the two, Ward asks why she didn't use magic earlier to help them, so Tika explains she only started her training. Tika also reveals that the Inferno are working to bring the Dark Lord back and usher in a new age of magic to slaughter millions and enslaved survivors. Tika was a former Inferni, but she escaped and the Shield of Light hit her out their safe house at the Abrams Street when Layla sent Lyrica with the wand to assassinate her. Tika stole the wand and fused Lyrica to the wall. Tika develops black veins and coughs up dark blood as a side effect of using magic, so Ward hotwires a car to take her to a hospital. However, Tika says she needs to go to the pool at the safe house, which are connected like the roots of a holly tree. Ward insists on taking Tika to the hospital and letting the feds handle the situation, but Jacoby convinces him to consider that they might be in a prophecy like the one that ended the war with the Dark Lord years ago. After seeing magic and miracles firsthand, Ward relents at the safe house. They load themselves with weapons, unaware that the Inferni are already there. Well, they let chance to spell by the pool. Seraphin and Tian attack, overpowering the officers. Jacob's brute force allows him to pin Seraphin to a wall with a metal rod. He then attaches the bomb to Tan and pushes her out the window, where she explodes. Having heard the explosion, Layla joins in the fight, while Seraphin frees himself. Seraphin beats up Jacoby, while Layla confronts Tika and Ward when he gets thrown back. Jacoby shotgun and blows Seraphin's brains off. Meanwhile, Ward holds Layla against the fridge. Tika hits her with magic from the wand. Jacoby then finishes her off with 2 shots in the chest. Finally, they then descend to the pools and put Tika into its healing waters. Unbeknownst to them, Layla is revived by residual magic from the wand. Soon, Leela appears and hangs Jacoby with a cord. She then retrieves the wand and asks squared away before throwing Tika out of the water. Layla kneels before Tika, inviting her to come home. But Tika tells her to kill her instead. Refusing to do so, Layla aims the wand at Ward, accusing him of influencing her sister Tika. Soon, Jacoby frees himself and shoots Layla's hand, making her drop the wand. Jacoby attempts to fire a fatal shot, but runs out of ammo. As a last resort, Ward decides to touch .01, willing to let everyone get pulverized to stop Layla. When he grabs the wand, however, he doesn't explode. Instead, the wand's blue light turns fiery orange, confirming that Ward as a bright Tika teaches him a spell, and when Ward uses it, Layla, her ups, and a massive explosion that the tourist Kandamir and his men who had just arrived outside the safe house. Ward drops the wand and rushes towards Tika, but she has disappeared. Jacoby forces him to let Latika go as they need to leave the burning building. Jacoby makes it outside, but when he doesn't find Ward behind him, he rushes back and saves him. Once outside, they spot the Fog, Teeth, Orcs and Dork who cuts his palm and raises it, accepting Jacoby as a blooded orc. As the medics flock to the injured cops, the magic task force secures the wand. Sometime later, Ward wakes up in the hospital. Jacoby by his bedside. Kandamir and Montague arrive, and before they can speak, Jacoby panics and babbles about the whole thing. Ward stops him and instead gives the agents a plausible report without mentioning the existence of a wand. He ends it with them being saved by the task force, so Ward thanks them. Kandamir confirms that this will be their statement, and Jacoby agrees. Soon the fallen police officers are given. Owners and Ward hates that the crooked officers are being celebrated alongside Rodriguez, but Jacoby tells him that it's enough that they know the truth. Jordan and Jacoby are also awarded medals for their service, and Ward briefly sees Tika among the crowd. I actually really liked this movie. I mean the concept of humans, elves, orcs, fairies and demons all living in our reality in current time. The police battling magic and wands is a pretty cool idea for a film, and Will Smith did a pretty good job too. The acting was great and the characters were on point. This is definitely a good one. Thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe for more great videos. And as always, stay blessed and may the force be with you.